Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to my first video on my YouTube channel. Before we start, um, so what you have to know about me is that I'm a Canadian. I'm from the province of Quebec. I live in the Montreal area, and I'm a graduate in poli science. And I thought it could be interesting to share with you my views on every prime minister that we've ever had in Canada. And yeah, so I'm gonna do that in a tier list, and let's see how it goes. So I'm gonna use three criterias um, to judge these people. So the first one is w like how how did their act benefit the country um, even to this day? Um, Second, on character, like were they good people? I mean, to me, it counts because even if what they did was bad, if they were a good person and they meant well, I feel like there's a redeemable quality to it. So it gotta be highlighted. And third, how was the economy under these prime ministers? So I know that we all have bias, and this little exercise here could reflect some of mine, and I really don't mind as long as we keep it respectful. So let's go. So first, John Hay Macdonald. He was prime minister from 1867 to 1873, and then from 1878 to 1891. Excuse me. So he was our first prime minister, and he oversaw the confederation of the first four provinces, which are Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. And then he expanded Canada with Manitoba, British Columbia, and PEI even. He's also um, known to have launched the Canadian Pacific Railway, which was a big thing at the time. And he was also known for his views on tariffs. He was a big tariff guy, as Trump would say. Um, so there's that. And finally, there's also the Indian Act um, with the residential school and and so on. And I'm not gonna go into it, but yeah, it was bad. Um, there's no way around it. So yeah, I know that in these tier lists, people tend to put the whether it's a president or a prime minister like uh, in the S tier automatically. Well, I don't feel like I want to do that when it comes to John Hay Macdonald. I'm not a big fan of him. Um, so to me, he's gonna go in the A tier. Um, so he's not a, a, a S tier prime minister. He's a A tier, and to me, there's a difference. If let's say if you take George Washington, like he was a general, he led the American Revolution, and there's like this big riz and hora around Washington that I just don't see around McDonald, if I'm being quite honest with you. So yeah, he's gonna be a A tier prime minister. Now let's go to Alexander Mackenzie, who was prime minister from 1873 to 1878. He introduced secret ballot, created the Supreme Court, promoted merit-based civil service. So he was against the spoil system, which is which is great. And he oversaw First Royal Military College. Alexander Mackenzie. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like he's gonna be. I feel like putting him in the C tier category. Maybe I'll move them as we go. We'll see. Right now, he's gonna be a C tier. So Sir John Abbott, uh, Prime Minister from 1891 to 1892. What? John Abbott, you're gonna be a F tier. I mean, you were a seat holder. Now, go to John Thompson, Prime Minister from 1892 to 1894. He was our first Catholic PM. strengthened criminal law, reformed divorce laws, advocated minority rights, but he just wasn't there for very long. Gonna be a D tier. Okay, um, now to Sir Mackenzie Babel from 1894 to 1896. So he oversaw Manitoba schools question, struggled with the unity of his party. Ugh, I mean, really a meh kind of prime minister. I just feel like, if I'm being frank, putting him in the F tier, I just don't see what the hell he did. That was great, but so let's go. We're going there. Charles Tupper, no question about it. You're an F tier. Um, Charles Tupper, shortest serving PM in the history of our country. So yeah, you're going F. Okay, now it's gonna be interesting. Wilfrid Laurier, from prime minister from 1896 to 1911. So he was our first French Canadian PM, and I'm gonna recognize I have a little bias towards him because he was born 10 minutes away from where I live. So yeah, he's my local prime minister. Um, so he promoted national unity between French and English. He oversaw an immigration boom. He opened Western provinces. He laid the groundwork for Canada's autonomy and foreign affairs. He even advocated for free trade, which was really before his time. The economy was booming under him. Um, yeah, obviously the Boer War wasn't good. um, so not everything was perfect. But overall, Wilfrid Laurier was, yeah, he was a good prime minister. Obviously, if I have to um, highlight more of the bad, there was his policies that when it came to immigration, he only wanted immigrants from Europe. It was something common at the time. The US had the same policy. And there was also uh, uh, um, the way he treated indigenous people. It was bad. Again, it doesn't excuse it, but it was common at the time. So for these reasons, and given my bias toward Wilfrid Laurier, I'm not gonna put him in the S tier. I'm gonna just put him in the A tier right there. I feel like that's a good spot for him. Um, did many good things, but he also was a man of his time. So he's gonna go in the A tier. Now, Sir Robert Borden, who was prime minister from 1911 to 1920. So a wartime prime minister, was there during World War One. He introduced conscription. Um, it caused a big divide in the society, especially between French and English. He also gave women the right to vote, which is a big thing. But again, Woodrow Wilson did the same thing a few years later, so it was off the time. But we're gonna give him the credit, and he secured Canada a seat in the League of Nations, which is interesting. So Robert Borden to me is gonna go in the B tier. So he was a he was a good prime minister. I just can't put him any higher. Okay, Arthur Mahan uh, was there from 1920 to 1921, and then in 1926 didn't do much. He just didn't do much. I mean, I'm not gonna put him in the F tier, but he's gonna be a D tier. I don't have much on him. He the most he did was lay the groundwork for the old age pension, which is cool, but he didn't implement it. So okay, now William Lyon Mackenzie King, Prime Minister from 1921 to 1926, and then 1926 to 1930, and then 1935 to 1948. So longest serving PM in our history. Um, He guided Canada through the Great Depression and World War II. He expanded social programs, um, like unemployment insurance and family allowances. Um, he advanced Canada's autonomy with the Statute of Westminster in 1931. Um, and yeah, people say he was a pragmatic leader, but the way I see it is he also was like many politicians at the time. So he lied during the election campaign, saying that he wouldn't implement conscription, which he did right after he was elected. But again, you could argue that Woodrow Wilson did the same thing during World War One, and that FDR did the same thing during World War Two. So I don't know. Um, I'm just yeah, and there was also this thing where he used to say that he was talking to dead people. Uh, he had like these weird rituals, but I'm not gonna judge him for that. I mean, he was a weird guy. Um, but I don't know. I'm gonna give him credit for being the longest serving PM. Um, and the social programs he implemented were good. He also helped with Canada's autonomy, which is also good. So to me, he's gonna be a an A tier prime minister, but I can't put him in the S tier. Um, I would just it would be unfair if I were to put him in the B tier. So he's gonna be an A tier. I feel it's a right spot for him. And then Herbie Bennett. He was PM during the Great Depression. He was a prime minister from 1930 to 1935. Um, so he proposed this kind of New Deal, the Canadian New Deal. Um, but he was at first a pro-business guy, so he was a conservative. But he shifted. Um, I feel like he's underrated a lot. I mean, he's an interesting dude. We don't really have time to go much into Herbie Bennett's detail of his tenure, but I'm gonna put him in the B tier. I like Herbie Bennett. Now, Louis Saint Laurent was prime minister from 1948 to 1957. So he built the Trans-Canada Highway and St. Lawrence Seaway, expanded social welfare, promoted Newfoundland joining Confederation, which is something huge. I mean, he expanded the country during the 50s. Well, actually, it was 1949, but still, like he was someone able to expand the country. Like he's also underrated as much as like I said that about Herbie Bennett. It's also the case with Louis Saint Laurent. People used to call him Uncle Louis. He was well liked. He was really this kind of reassuring figure for Canadians, and he also um, helped founded NATO and strengthened Canada's role in it, and also in the UN. So to me, Louis Saint Laurent is gonna go in the B tier. It's, yeah, he would be B plus if I'm being honest. I would even like to put him in the A tier, but I'm just gonna keep him in the B tier, which is a good place. Okay, now John Diefenbaker. He was prime minister from 1957 to 1963. Um, my thing with John Diefenbaker is that he reminds me a lot of like this era in the United States where there was a witch hunt, uh, like this whole communist thing. And I don't know, I don't know. He introduced the Canadian Bill of Rights, though. He also extended voting rights to Indigenous people. Hmm. He's an interesting dude. I don't know if some of y'all ever went to the Defen Bunker in the Ottawa region. It's absolutely incredible. He he built there like in case of a nuclear attack, this huge bunker where he could go hide if something were to happen in Canada, and it's massive. And it reminds me when I saw the movie The Fall, where you see like Adolf Hitler in his last days. Well, and you see him walk in his bunker. Like, it reminded me of this movie. So yeah, it's really impressive. I'm gonna put Diefenbaker in the I'm gonna put him in the B tier, in the B tier, but he could go C. But for now, he's gonna go B. Oh, Lester B. Pearson from 1963 to 1968. So this guy won the Nobel Peace Prize. I know Donald Trump would be jealous. Um, he also introduced universal healthcare, Canada pension plan, and the student loans. He created the Canadian flag as we know it, and he um, he pushed the agenda of bilingualism and multiculturalism in Canada. So he was a really influential prime minister, and I really like him. He had a good character from every account. So I'm just gonna put him in the A tier. He was a really great prime minister, and I feel that if he had stayed any longer, he could have been an S tier, but he's gonna be a A tier. Okay, now Pierre Elliott Trudeau. So, um, really, really controversial, polarizing figure. So he was prime minister from 1968 to 1979 and 1980 to 1984. Uh, so my thing with Pierre Elliott Trudeau is I feel like he was the second founder of Canada. So there was like the first phase with um, John Hay Macdonald, and then there was the second phase with Pierre Elliott Trudeau when he introduced the Charter of Rights and Freedom into the Canadian Constitution. And he also brought back, well, he actually brought the Canadian Constitution home because it was in London. So just only for this accomplishment, to me, it's worth noting that Pierre Trudeau is gonna go in the S tier. Though I have to point out that the economy under him was not great, really not great. At this point, I'm having doubt about if he knew how to manage an economy, um, because it wasn't the best. That it wasn't a good look at all. Um, and some would criticize how he handled the separatists in Quebec. I don't agree. I feel like the War Measures Act was uh, was justified. I mean, Quebec Premier at the time, Robert Bourassa, begged for it. The mayor of Montreal at the time, Mr. Drapeau, begged for it as well. So it was okay. He held the country together during the 1980 referendum. And no, the way he dealt with separatists in Quebec is good. I have absolutely no problem with it. My problem with Pierre Elliott Trudeau is more when it comes to the economy. But if we put that aside, I mean, just what he was able to achieve um, when it comes to the way we live in Canada today and the way we see ourselves um, is mainly due to his achievement. And I feel like in the future, historian will look at him as like uh, maybe more of a nation builder than John Hay Macdonald. That's my hot take, and that's my opinion. And if you disagree, well, just leave a comment in the chat. Okay, now Joe Clark. Um, there really isn't much to it. Well, Joe Clark, I mean, wasn't a terrible human being, so I'm just gonna put him D tier. John Turner. John Turner is gonna go. Uh, oh my God. I mean, gotta go in the F tier. It's even worse than Joe Clark. Now, Brian Mulroney. I really like Brian Mulroney. Character-wise, I feel like he was a really good person. He was prime minister from 1984 to 1993. NAFTA, we can thank him. Well, I feel like in a couple of years there won't be much left of the free trade agreement that he signed. Uh, but still, that was a big achievement, and yeah, probably his biggest. The GST, well, Acid Rain Treaty, interesting, and the two attempted constitutional reform that have failed. Uh, I mean, it's not a good look, um, especially the Charlottetown one. That was really bad. Like Canada wouldn't even be a country at this point if that thing uh, would have passed. And finally, the way he left office was just terrible. those big bags of cash. Like, okay, like I'm not saying there was corruption there, but like it's just a bad look, man. It was just such a bad look. But as I said, I like him, and I feel like he tried his best, and I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Okay, Ken Campbell, you're F tier. I don't want to hear any argument. Okay, Jean Chrétien. I really like Jean Chrétien. I really, really, really like Jean Chrétien. To me, he goes straight into A tier. Um, the way he was able to handle uh, the fiscal situation in Canada, he reduced the deficit. No, no, sorry. He didn't reduce the deficit. He eliminated the deficit, which is incredible, and it has to be highlighted. He also said no to Iraq, which is a big positive. Um, held the country together, which is also great. Um, in my book, he's almost an a S prime minister, if I'm being honest with you. Uh, I just don't know if I can put him that high. I just don't know. Uh, we'll see. Okay, let's go to Paul Martin. So Paul Martin legalized same-sex marriage, and he was also good with eliminating the deficit and the way he handled the economy and so on. So to me, Paul Martin, even though he didn't stay really long and the way he left office was questionable, he's gonna be a B tier prime minister. Okay, now we're getting into modern politics, and I want to be really careful here, okay? Um, because I just want to point out some stuff. So, uh, first, when it comes to Stephen Harper, I never really liked him personally, but I have to say that looking at where the world is heading and where Canada is going, we got to give to Stephen Harper that um, he wanted to implement a lot of the stuff that Mark Carney is talking about right now. So a strong military, a strong foreign policy, a good relation with India, and and um and so yeah, Canada that like uh would be like would respect excuse me is its allies in NATO and so on. So yeah, and there's also this the building of the pipelines and the drilling of oils and exploiting gas. So we have to hand it to him. Stephen Harper, even though I didn't like him, was he was a a good prime minister, and I'm for these reasons I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Um, he wanted to eliminate deficit and all the stuff he was talking about. I feel like is much more in sync with where we are right now and where we are headed uh, than what I'm going to talk about right now with Justin Trudeau. So Justin Trudeau, uh, I have to say I liked him, uh, but I'm forced to admit that I mean almost everything he did has taken Canada backward, and the way he handled economy was terrible, absolutely terrible. Canada is in a weak position right now on about every aspect, and well, he did legalize cannabis and advocated for reconciliation. I mean, he was charismatic. Um, yeah, he was charismatic, and he was able to inspire people with his speech. He was a good orator. But apart from that, policy-wise, and I do think that Justin Trudeau is a good person, but policy-wise, it's terrible. So he's gonna go in the D tier. And Mark Carney, well, it's really too early. He's still in office, so let's just put him in the C tier for now. So that would be my ranking. So Pierre Elliott Trudeau in S tier. I feel comfortable with that. John Hay MacDonald, I mean, to me, he's no George Washington. Um, Wilfrid Laurier, to me, would be close to the S tier. Jean Chrétien would be close as well. Like, I mean, if we have to put them in order, I feel like Wilfried Laurier would go there. He would go there. So yeah, it would look like this. I'm gonna keep it like this. And thank you everybody for watching. If you could subscribe, like, share, and comment if you disagree with some of my take, it would be appreciated. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.